Hi everyone, I'm so blessed and welcome to my channel. Today we'll be continuing our beginner's guide to container gardening. So let's get started. This is Series 1, Episode 3. This episode, as I mentioned, is about your soil mixture. Yes, this is very important because the plant growth depends on what you have in this. Not only the nutrients, but also the texture of this. Soil is very important to container garden. Hey guys, I also want to add that you may want the convenience of picking up your container soil from a box or a big box store because yes, that's probably more convenient, but or you could just mix your own given the ratios that you require for specific plants in your container garden. But whatever you choose to do, you want to make sure that it is specific for a container garden and not the gardening that we typically do in ground or even in a raised bed because the soil mixtures are different. So here we are at a big box store. I want to show you typically what's offered in terms of the different types of soil. As you can see, this is container soil specifically designed for your potted plants. It's typically lightweight and well drained. It often includes a mix of peat moss, vermiculite or perlite, and some type of organic matter like compost or bark. Container soil is specifically designed for plants grown in a container. It should provide the aeration, the drainage, and the moisture retention that's essential for these plants. Now this is in-ground soil. In-ground soil is heavier, it's denser than your regular potting mix or container soil. It includes natural soil from the ground, which can be a mix of sand, silt, clay, or organic matter. You can add this directly to your garden beds to improve the quality of your existing garden beds. Now the third type I'm showing you is the all-purpose, and you can go either way with this. You can use this on your garden beds in ground, or you can use this for your container gardening, but it's going to require some work because this all-purpose can go either way. And remember, for container gardening we need those basic elements. We need it to be lightweight, so we're going to have to throw some perlite, vermiculite, some sand or something in here, and you're going to have to add some nutritional value to it. But it is cheaper than the other two types of soil typically in the big box stores. So keep that in mind. If you're on a budget, you're going to still have to add something to make it suitable. Guys, I cannot express enough that the type of soil that you use can make or break the success of you growing your container plants. So unlike the garden soil that I just mentioned, your container soil needs to be lightweight. It needs to be full of nutrients, and also we need it to be well draining. Remember, everything that your plant needs has to come from within that container. A good soil mix contains three things that I want you to remember: air, water, and nutrients. So remember those three things as I discuss the key components of a good, or let's say ideal soil mixture, because there are many recipes that you can find here on YouTube as well as online searches. No matter what components or materials you choose to use, you're going to remember that we want a balance of air, water, and nutrition. I keep saying that because that is vital. That is the most important thing. This is even more important than the type of container that you use, because everything comes from within the container. Three key components that I'll talk about here today, and maybe some of the other additives that we could use, or substitutes or alternates we can use, we'll talk about in future episodes. But I want to give you the basic three key components that you can use to get started. So let's go ahead and do that. Peat moss is a primary ingredient in many soil mixes. It helps to retain moisture and provides a lightweight texture. It can be acidic, so make sure you're following the recipe that is specific for the plant that you're growing. Perlite is another key ingredient, and it's volcanic rock that you add to the soil mixture to improve the drainage and the aeration. It keeps the soil from becoming compact. And you can use perlite or you can use vermiculite, and you can do your research on the difference between the two, but perlite is what I typically use. There are other optional components that you can use as well, like sand or grit, to further improve the drainage of your soil mixture. Compost, another key ingredient to container garden mixture. Compost adds an essential nutrient to your soil mix, and it improves the structure as well. But it promotes a healthy microbial activity to your container soil mixture. So you don't want to forget this key ingredient, compost. Okay, so what are we looking to get from these components? You're looking to retain your moisture that your plant needs to thrive. You also want to make sure that the soil is allowing the proper drainage for the particular plant that you're growing, as well as the soil is able to hold within it nutrition that your plant also needs to grow. And we also not only want the plant to grow, but we want that root structure to maintain its vitality and be healthy so that your plant can grow and develop. Okay, so how do you determine what your soil needs? Now that you have the basic components, that's good to start with. But now you want to look at the specific needs of each plant, and you know each gardener needs to do research on the plant that they're choosing to grow, and that's going to vary from plant to plant. But once you have that information, you'll know how to adjust your soil so that it is appropriate, most appropriate for the plant that you're growing. Like cacti need soil that is easy to drain. So you want to add or adjust the amount of perlite that you have in a container specifically for cacti or even succulents. Now, vegetables are quite different from cacti or succulents. They want a more nutrient-rich soil. So how do you achieve that? Let's talk about two different ways, and these are just alternatives. There are many out there, depending on whether you want to go the organic route or you want to use a more synthetic route. I choose a more organic route. So the examples I would give for that, for a more nutrient-rich soil for vegetable plants, I would add compost. That is what I use most. But you can use other alternatives as well. You can use worm casting, for example, and then you can also put yourself on a schedule to do fertilizing to make sure not only when you're starting out with your containers that you are continuing to do maintenance on those containers so that your soil can continue to feed your plants. And then you may try to do a periodic schedule of things like fertilizer. An example of that would be adding fish emulsion to your water, to your watering schedule. Now, if you're choosing to do a flower container garden, that will pretty much survive on the balanced soil mixture that we have, but you do have some rare plants that will require more attention and more maintenance and maybe even a different soil mixture. But the basics that we talked about earlier in this episode will probably be sufficient for you to start out with your flowers. So that's it for today on the soil mixture for your container garden. In our next episode, we're going to talk about how do you choose the plants for your container garden. So please make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on the next episode. Be sure to leave your comments and your questions in the section below and let me know what's your preferred soil mix. Thanks for watching, guys, and happy gardening. Remember, this episode, previous episodes, and the future episodes for Series 1 will be in a playlist on my channel. I'll see you guys in the next episode.